Following the tense events of Season 1, Peaky Blinders Season 2 takes us back to the Shelby family as they begin to expand their power from Birmingham to London. Tommy Shelby not only faces new dangerous enemies but also navigates complex relationships. Join us as we delve into the thrilling and unexpected developments of Season 2 in the Peaky Blinders' quest to build their criminal empire. Season 2 opens with a cliffhanger from the previous season. Grace Burgess is at the train station, nervously awaiting a response from Tommy Shelby. However, her anticipation is abruptly interrupted when Major Campbell appears, intent on confronting her. The tension escalates, and in a moment of desperation, Grace shoots Campbell. Although she doesn't kill him, the bullet leaves him severely wounded, setting the stage for a new level of animosity. 2 years after the Peaky Blinders have achieved significant success in their criminal endeavors, a somber development hits the Shelby family. Freddie Thorne has died from a sudden illness, leaving Ada as a single mother and causing her to sever ties with the Shelby family. Upon returning from Freddie's funeral, Tommy is shocked to find that the Garrison pub has been destroyed by an explosion. The incident was orchestrated by 2 unknown women who had previously approached and planted a bomb while the gang was away. Suspecting the culprits, Tommy, after dealing with the corrupt police, heads to the Black Lion pub for answers. There, he is led to a secret location where 2 IRA operatives are waiting. Tommy is coerced into carrying out an assassination mission he cannot refuse. Meanwhile, an old adversary resurfaces. Major Campbell has returned to Birmingham. However, Tommy is more focused on his plans. He calls a family meeting to discuss expanding their operations to London, despite resistance from John and Aunt Polly. After completing the assassination mission requested by the IRA, the 3 Shelby brothers went to London to survey the city. In the capital, they created chaos at a nightclub owned by the crime lord Darby Sabini, demonstrating their newfound power. After the altercation, Tommy reunited with Lizzie Stark and hired her as his secretary to aid in their expansion plans, while also advising her to leave her life as a prostitute. However, their victory was short-lived. Sabini's men retaliated by kidnapping Ada, assaulting her, and brutally beating Tommy. Just as they were about to finish Tommy off, Campbell's police arrived in time to save him. It was clear that Campbell had no real intentions of helping. He was simply following Winston Churchill's orders to exploit Tommy. In this episode, we also learn that Polly Gray is desperately trying to find her long-lost children. She consults a fortune teller who informs her that her child is dead. In the following episode, after Tommy is rushed to emergency care, Ada is successfully rescued by Campbell's men before Sabini's associates can do any further harm. At the hospital, Campbell confronts Tommy, revealing that he knows about Tommy's involvement with the IRA and the recent assassination. Campbell informs Tommy that he will have to work for the government under future directives. Realizing he cannot stay in the hospital any longer, Tommy discharges himself and goes to see Charlie and Polly for pain relief before heading back to London to continue his work. In Camden Town, Tommy meets with the once powerful crime boss Alfie Solomons, who has been suppressed by Darby Sabini, to persuade him to ally with the Peaky Blinders against Sabini. Upon returning to Birmingham, Tommy engages in money laundering by purchasing properties for Ada and Aunt Polly. Discovering that Polly is searching for her lost child, Tommy investigates and finds that her son is living in a remote countryside area and is now 17 years old. Tommy provides the address to Polly so she can contact her son, but he informs her that her daughter is presumed dead. Upon learning that her son is alive, Polly demands the address from Tommy, but he bluntly refuses, causing Polly to become distraught. After resolving the family issues, Tommy manages to outmaneuver Campbell by sending a letter directly to Winston Churchill. He demands fair treatment and additional privileges in import-export matters, which are granted. However, soon after, the government plans to silence Tommy once their objectives are achieved. As for Tommy's older brother Arthur, he is enduring some of the worst days of his life due to lingering wartime trauma and a past suicide attempt that haunts him relentlessly. This turmoil leads Arthur to inadvertently kill an innocent young man during a fight. To manage this situation, Tommy allows Arthur to use cocaine on special occasions. At the grand reopening of the Garrison pub, Arthur uses cocaine as permitted. During this event, Tommy asks Ada to try to convince Aunt Polly to accept the family's new situation, but her efforts are unsuccessful. After a night of passion with a young man, Aunt Polly returns home and is reunited with her son, Michael, who had come searching for her based on Tommy's earlier directions. The third episode begins with Tommy hiring a well-mannered, first-time offender to organize illegal betting events as part of his agreement with the police, helping them reach their arrest quotas. Unfortunately, the young man is killed by Darby Sabini's henchmen in prison, an act intended to intimidate the Peaky Blinders and counter their expanding influence. Meanwhile, Michael takes the opportunity to bond with his mother and the Shelby family, demonstrating his competence and charisma to Tommy. Returning to business matters, Tommy meets with Billy, a former war comrade, and assigns him to work for Alfie Solomon. Regarding his dealings with Campbell, Tommy informs the former officer that his superiors are setting him up by arranging accommodation near a brothel. Additionally, Arthur encounters trouble when the mother of the boy he accidentally killed confronts him for revenge. Fortunately, this situation is resolved without further violence. The Shelby family proceeds with their expansion plans by investing a significant amount in a high-quality horse for a race organized by Darby Sabini. At the auction, Michael participates, and Tommy meets May Carlton, who continually bids high, forcing Tommy to spend more than anticipated to secure the horse. Following the auction, the gang faces off against Sabini's enforcers, but fortunately, no one is injured. Continuing with Episode 4, after compensating the family of the unfortunate boy, Tommy meets Campbell as scheduled, only to be shocked to find 2 IRA members present. It becomes clear that these men are operating under the orders of the King and Campbell, attempting to ensnare Tommy in assassination plots of their own making. Although Tommy is furious and repeatedly refuses the proposal, he is once again faced with a command he cannot refuse. While researching his next target, Governor Henry Russell, Michael approaches Tommy's office requesting a role as the gang's accountant, which Tommy initially declines. However, after discussing it with Polly, Tommy and Polly agree to let Michael join the Shelby operations. Subsequently, Tommy reconnects with May Carlton and requests her help in training his horse for the upcoming Epsom Derby. On the business front, progress is evident with the export of whiskey and foreign auto parts, and the Shelby gang has successfully taken over Sabini's former nightclub after Arthur and John reclaimed it. Despite these successes, Tommy is concerned about Arthur's increasing cocaine addiction, which negatively impacts their business operations and causes Tommy dissatisfaction. Additionally, Tommy is apprehensive about his own safety, given that his upcoming operation might be his last. He arranges financial support for John and Ada's children in case something happens to him. Tommy visits May's home and discovers she is a wealthy widow. They develop a romantic connection and share a passionate night together. Meanwhile, Darby Sabini makes his own moves by approaching Solomon to rekindle their relationship in an attempt to undermine the Peaky Blinders. Michael, now working for the Shelbys, gains some notoriety when he and his black friend are harassed by racist patrons at a bar, leading to a brawl. Arthur and John, upon hearing about the incident, immediately go to the bar and set it on fire, dealing with the troublemakers. The episode concludes with the Shelby family facing threats from both external and internal sources. Despite these challenges, Tommy remains resolute in continuing his plans and refuses to be deterred. Michael officially joins the family and starts participating in Peaky Blinders activities. This episode marks a significant turning point in the storyline, as Tommy begins to implement his business expansion plans in London and confronts new, dangerous challenges. In the next episode, the previous actions of Sabini result in serious consequences for the Peaky Blinders. Arthur and Billy are set up by Solomon, Billy is killed, and Arthur faces a murder charge with a death sentence looming. Sabini's men attack and eliminate the Shelby gang staff in their London nightclub to regain control. Michael is arrested for his involvement in the previous brawl and arson. Upon hearing this, Tommy rushes back from May's house to confront Campbell, only to find that he is only pushed further into an assassination plot. Angered, Tommy receives a call from Grace, and despite the ongoing chaos, he agrees to meet her. The Shelby family meeting is tense, with Polly losing her composure after her son is once again taken away. Tommy temporarily dismisses her concerns, focusing solely on business, which infuriates Polly. She confronts Campbell to negotiate her son's freedom, an action that also deeply disturbs Michael. Despite the looming threat to his empire, Tommy meets Grace. That night, their relationship rekindles with passion, though Grace has her own motives. Having been diagnosed with infertility, she seeks to prove it's not her issue by reuniting with Tommy. With personal matters put aside, Tommy prepares for the upcoming operation. John informs Arthur of impending trouble and bombards the residence of Governor Henry Russell, forcing him to relocate. This move allows Tommy to set his own timing and location for the assassination, now independent of Campbell's constraints. The operation is set to take place at the Epsom Derby. The season finale begins with Tommy Shelby planning a major heist at the Epsom Derby, a significant horse racing event. The heist aims to eliminate Darby Sabini and solidify the Shelby family's power. Tommy meets with family members and allies to finalize the details of the plan. Despite efforts to end his relationship with May in the previous episode, she continues to train his horse. Tommy writes his final letters in case he does not survive the operation and meets Solomon to finalize their agreement. With prior arrangements and his renewed determination, Tommy forces Solomon to sign the deal and release Arthur from prison. At the Epsom Derby, Arthur and John's team is tasked with destroying all of Sabini's bookmakers' permits and stealing betting money. While Tommy approaches Governor Russell, Grace unexpectedly interrupts to tell him she is pregnant with his child. Though shocked, Tommy prioritizes the mission. He arranges for Lizzie Stark to lure Russell into a trap. Despite her disappointment and frustration, Lizzie complies, and though delayed due to a detour, she is only assaulted by Russell. Tommy arrives and kills Russell, concluding the mission. Meanwhile, Lieutenant Campbell has Polly killed in a covert operation, leaving no trace. After completing his task, Tommy meets with Sabini but is quickly apprehended by Campbell's agents. These agents, assigned by Campbell to handle Tommy post-operation, are then intercepted by one of their own, who kills the others and leaves a message that Winston Churchill is watching Tommy and will contact him in the future. Back home, Tommy encounters Michael, who insists on joining the Peaky Blinders despite his mother's offer of money to leave and avoid danger. Additionally, the episode features the first meeting between Tommy's lovers, May Carlton and Grace Burgess. Season 2 of Peaky Blinders concludes with dramatic twists as Tommy Shelby overcomes numerous challenges and faces ruthless enemies. While asserting his power in London, he confronts an uncertain and perilous future. The upcoming season promises endless conflicts and increasingly complex relationships, thrusting the Shelby family into new trials on their journey to the pinnacle of power.